Tay stood at the wide window of Sunspire Academy's observation deck. His dark eyes followed the small ships that moved like busy insects around the massive space station. 3 months had passed since he and the other humans had proved everyone wrong during the entrance trials. Now he was one of the top students at the most famous military school in the galaxy. The station spun slowly, creating its own gravity. Its tall center tower reached up like a golden needle pointing to the stars. Sunlight from the nearby star made the metal shine. Tay placed his hand on the cool glass. Sometimes he still couldn't believe he was here. Enjoying the view again. "Cadet Tay?" The deep voice came from behind him. Tay turned and stood straight. "Commander Han." "Yes, sir. I find it helps me think." Commander Han was a tall Korean man with gray at his temples. His uniform was spotless, with many badges showing his rank and achievements. His face was serious, but his eyes were kind. He had been the one who fought for humans to join the academy when most alien teachers thought humans were too weak and simple. "Well, I hope your mind is sharp today," Han said. "Our sensors have picked up something strange at the edge of our system." Tay's body tensed. "What kind of strange, sir?" Han touched a small device on his wrist. A 3D map appeared in the air between them. Several red dots blinked near the outer planets. "Energy readings that don't match any friendly ships," Han said. "Intelligence thinks it might be the Krell." Tay's mouth went dry. Everyone knew about the Krell Empire. They were tall, four-armed aliens with gray skin and black eyes. They hated humans more than any other species. They believed humans were a mistake in the universe that needed to be removed. "Are they sure?" Tay asked. "No, but we need to be ready just in case," Han said. "Director Kim has called a meeting in 1 hour. I want you there." Tay blinked in surprise. "Me? But I'm just a first-year cadet." Han's lips formed a small smile. "You're also the best tactical mind we have. Don't be late." He turned and walked away, his boots making sharp sounds on the metal floor. Tay looked back at the peaceful view outside. It seemed impossible that danger could be coming to this place. He needed to find G. In the engineering bay, G worked under a large metal table, covered with tools and small parts. Only her legs stuck out from beneath it. Her hands moved quickly, connecting wires and tightening screws. She hummed a tune from Earth as she worked. "The power flow is now 15% more efficient," said a quiet voice beside her. "Your changes are impressive." She slid out from under the table and smiled at Sue. The alien was thin with light blue skin that seemed to glow under the bright lights. Sue's large eyes blinked sideways instead of up and down. "Thanks," G said, wiping her hands on her uniform, pants. "Human tech might be newer than yours, but we've gotten good at making the most of what we have." Sue nodded slowly. When G had first arrived at the academy, Sue had avoided her like most other alien students. But after seeing G's skill with machines, Sue had started spending time in the engineering bay during G's shifts. Now, they worked well together. "This early warning system," Sue said, looking at G's work. "You're making it much stronger than the standard design calls for." G shrugged. "Just a feeling. Better safe than sorry, right?" Before Sue could answer, Tay burst into the room. His face was serious and he was slightly out of breath. "G, we need to talk," he said, then nodded at Sue. "Hello, Sue." G stood up. She knew that look on her friend's face. "What's wrong?" Tay glanced around the large engineering bay. A few other students worked at stations far away, but no one was close enough to hear them. "Commander Han just told me there are strange ships at the edge of our system," Tay said quietly. "They think it might be the Krell." Sue's blue skin seemed to pale. "The Krell? Here?" G felt her heart beat faster. "Are you sure?" Tay shook his head. "No one's sure yet. But Director Kim has called a meeting, and Han wants me there." "You?" G asked, surprised. "That's a good sign, right? They wouldn't involve a first year unless—" A loud, high-pitched sound cut through the air. Red lights began to flash on the walls. The three friends looked at each other with wide eyes. "Warning," said a calm computer voice that filled the entire station. Unknown vessels approaching. All students return to quarters. All senior staff report to command center. This is not a drill. The sound of running feet and shouting filled the hallway outside. G felt her mouth go dry. Looks like we got our answer, she said. Sue moved toward the door. We should return to our quarters as ordered. Tay shook his head. No. Han wanted me at that meeting, and now I definitely need to be there. He looked at G. You should come too. If there's trouble, we'll need your tech skills. G nodded, her face set in determination. What about Sue? They both looked at the blue alien. Sue seemed torn. Academy rules say, Sue began. Sometimes you have to break rules to do what's right, G said. If the Krell are really here, this is bigger than Academy rules. Sue was quiet for a moment, then nodded. I will come. My knowledge of Krell ship design might be useful. The three friends hurried out into the busy hallway. Students ran in all directions. Some looked scared, others excited. The older alien. Students moved with purpose while many of the younger ones seemed confused. Tay led the way, moving against the crowd toward the command center. The station shook slightly and the lights flickered. That didn't feel like a drill, G said. They reached a large elevator that would take them to the upper levels where the command center was located. 2 security guards stood in front, stopping students from entering. Cadets, return to your quarters now, one guard said. Tay stepped forward. Commander Han requested my presence at the command center. My name is Cadet Tay. The guard looked at his small computer screen, then back at Tay. You're on the list, but these 2 aren't. They're with me, Tay said firmly. Cadet G is our top engineering student, and Cadet Sue knows more about Krell ships than anyone else in our year. The guard looked uncertain. The station shook again, harder this time. The second guard touched his ear, listening to something on his communication device. His face grew serious. Let them through, he said to his partner. The situation is worse than we thought. They need all the help they can get up there. The first guard stepped aside. Tay, G, and Sue entered the elevator. As the doors closed, they could see fear on the faces of the other students in the hallway. What do you think we'll find up there? G asked quietly. Tay took a deep breath. The truth, and maybe a fight for our lives. The elevator began to rise, taking them toward whatever waited in the command center. The calm before the storm was over. The battle for Sunspire had begun. The elevator doors opened to chaos. The command center of Sunspire Academy was a large round room with screens covering the walls. People ran from station to station. Voices called out reports. In the center of the room, a huge 3D map showed the space around the station. Red dots were moving closer. Director Kim stood tall at the main control panel. Her gray hair was pulled back tight and her face showed no fear, but her eyes were sharp with worry. Commander Han stood next to her, giving orders to a group of senior officers. Shields at 85% and holding, called out one officer. Communications are being jammed, shouted another. We can't call for help. Tay, G, and Sue stepped out of the elevator. They stayed back, unsure what to do. Then Director Kim saw them. Commander Han, she said. Your cadet is here. Han turned and waved them over. Cadet Tay, good. We need your tactical mind. He looked at G and Sue with surprise. I don't remember asking for you two. They came with me, sir. Tay said quickly. Cadet G is our best engineer and Cadet Sue knows Krell ships better than... Fine, Han cut him off. We need all the help we can get right now. The station shook hard. Some people fell to their knees. Direct hit on Section 4, someone shouted. Shields down to 73%. Show me who we're fighting, Director Kim demanded. The main screen lit up with an image that made everyone go quiet. A massive black ship, shaped like a pointed star with 5 sharp arms, led a fleet of smaller ships. Red lights glowed along its sides. Weapons stuck out from every angle. The Purifier, Sue whispered, eyes wide. The flagship of the Krell Warfleet. What are they saying? Kim asked. Can we understand their messages yet? A young officer worked at her station. Breaking through the jam now, Director. Audio only. A deep, scratchy voice filled the room. It spoke slowly in the common galactic language. Surrender all human cadets or Sunspire Academy will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. Humans are an error in the universe. They must be removed. This is your only warning, the message repeated. Director Kim turned off the sound with a quick motion of her hand. Well, she said, their demands are clear. Ji looked at Tae with fear in her eyes. Sue stepped closer to them both, as if trying to protect them. We will not surrender anyone, Han said firmly. Especially not our human cadets. Director Kim nodded. Of course not. But we need a plan. The Krell have us outnumbered and outgunned. She turned to face the room. Senior cadets, what is the standard defense protocol for this situation? Several alien cadets spoke up at once. Concentrate shield power to the side facing the attack, said one. Call for help from nearby systems, said another. Use escape pods to evacuate important personnel, suggested a third. Director Kim listened, then looked at Tae. And what do you think, human cadet? Everyone turned to look at Tae. He felt his heart beating fast. He stepped forward and looked at the 3D map. Those are all good ideas, he said slowly. But they won't work against the Krell. They've studied standard academy tactics for hundreds of years. They know what we're supposed to do. He pointed at the map. We need to do something they don't expect. An older alien cadet with scales and sharp teeth laughed. Like what? The Krell know every military tactic in the galaxy. Every alien military tactic, Ji said, stepping up beside Tae. But they don't know humans very well. Sue nodded. It's true. Krell avoid humans whenever possible. They consider human thinking to be illogical and unpredictable. Director Kim's eyes lit up with interest. Go on, Cadet Tae. What do you suggest? Tae took a deep breath and pointed to the map. The Krell expect us to fortify our position and wait for help, so instead we attack. The room erupted in surprised voices. Attack? With what? Someone asked. Our training ships aren't made for real battle. Exactly, Tae said. The Krell won't expect us to use training ships as weapons, and they won't expect us to fly into the nebula. He pointed to a colorful cloud of gas near the station. The nebula glowed with blues and purples. It was beautiful, but dangerous. Strange energy inside it could damage ships. No one flies into the Crimson Nebula, Commander Han said. The radiation would disable our systems. Ji stepped forward. Not if we modify the shields to create a bubble around each ship. I can do it. Sue moved next to Ji. And I can help guide them through. My people evolved in high radiation environments. I can sense safe paths. Director Kim looked at them thoughtfully. This is extremely risky. Some would call it suicidal. Exactly, Tae said with a small smile. The Krell will never expect it. The station shook again. A new voice came over the speakers. 50 minutes remaining until we destroy Sunspire Academy. Surrender your humans now. Director Kim looked at the main screen, then back at Tae. Explain your full plan, Cadet. Tae moved to the map and began to point out positions. We send a small team in modified training ships through the nebula. The energy will hide us from Krell sensors. We come out behind their fleet and target their engines, not to destroy them, but to disable them. And then? Han asked. Then we make them think Sunspire is more damaged than it really is, Tae continued. We shut down some non-essential systems, make it look like they're winning easily. Ji jumped in. When they get close enough thinking they've nearly won, we bring everything back online at full power and catch them by surprise. The room was quiet. Everyone stared at the young cadets. This plan goes against every standard battle procedure, an older alien instructor said. It's human thinking. Exactly, Director Kim said with a nod. And that's why it might work. She turned to Commander Han. Prepare a strike team, volunteers only. Han nodded. Who will lead them? Director Kim looked straight at Tae. I think that's obvious, don't you? Tay's eyes went wide. Me? But I'm just a first-year cadet. You're also the one who came up with this plan, Kim said. And sometimes new perspectives are exactly what we need. She addressed the whole room. I need volunteers for a strike team. This mission is extremely dangerous. I won't order anyone to go. Without hesitation, G raised her hand. I'll go. You need an engineer to modify the ships. Sue raised a hand too. I will guide them through the nebula. Slowly, other hands went up around the room. 5 more cadets, 3 aliens and 2 humans, volunteered. Director Kim nodded. 8 brave souls. That will have to be enough. She looked at Tay. You have 30 minutes to prepare your team and ships. Commander Han will assist you. Tay stood straight and gave a proper academy salute. Yes, Director. As they turned to leave, the station shook again, harder this time. Shields at 60%. Someone called out. They're testing our defenses. Director Kim's voice followed them to the elevator. Good luck, cadets. The fate of Sunspire Academy now rests in your hands. As the doors closed, G looked at Tay. No pressure, right? Tay tried to smile, but his face was serious. Let's just hope the Krell are as afraid of human thinking as we think they are. Sue looked at both human friends. If not, we may not live long enough to find out. The elevator began to descend toward the hangar bay, carrying them toward their dangerous mission. The battle for Sunspire had truly begun. The hangar bay was a place of rushed activity. Mechanics and engineers worked fast on 8 small training ships. These ships were not made for battle. They were simple, one-person crafts used to teach students how to fly. Now, they were being turned into weapons. She moved from ship to ship, her hands working quickly. She had created a special shield design that might protect them inside the nebula. Each ship now had a small device attached to its power core. Will these really work? Tay asked, watching her finish the last ship. G wiped sweat from her forehead. In theory, yes. But no one has ever tried to fly through the Crimson Nebula before, so... She shrugged. So we'll be the first. Tay finished for her. Or the last. Sue approached them carrying small tablets. I have mapped what I believe will be the safest path through the nebula. Each pilot should study this carefully. The other 5 volunteers gathered around. They were a mix of species. Moon and Hyun were human cadets like Tai and G. Lox was tall with 4 arms like the Krell, but with green skin instead of gray. Zim had hard plates covering its body and round black eyes. Karai looked almost human except for the ridge of small horns on her forehead. These are our best training ships, Commander Han said as he joined the group. Not that it means much against Krell warships. He looked at each cadet in turn. You all understand how dangerous this mission is? They all nodded. The Krell have never lost a battle where they had greater numbers, Han continued. They are confident, which might make them careless, but they are also deadly. We understand the risk, Commander, Tay said. Han nodded. Very well. You launch in 5 minutes. Director Kim is preparing the academy for its part of the plan. As Han walked away, G turned to Tay. I've been thinking about something. The Krell ships use a special type of shield that's strongest at the front. Yes, Sue added. Their rear shields are always weaker. They don't expect attacks from behind because no one has ever been able to surprise them before. Tay smiled. Then, that's where we'll hit them. But first, we need to connect our ship system so we can coordinate once we're inside the nebula. G pulled out a small device from her pocket. Already done. I created a simple network that should work even with the nebula's interference. It's based on old Earth technology, radio waves. Lox, the green 4-armed cadet, looked confused. Radio waves? That's ancient technology. Exactly, G said. The Krell would never think to block something so old and simple. A loud alarm sounded. A voice came over the speakers. Strike team, prepare for launch. Hangar doors opening in 1 minute. The cadets climbed into their ships. Each craft was small, just big enough for one person to sit inside. The controls were simple. 2 handles to steer, foot pedals for speed, and a small screen showing ship status. Tay settled into his seat and put on his helmet. The ship hummed to life around him. On his screen, he could see the faces of his team as G's communication system connected them. "Everyone ready?" he asked. 7 faces nodded back at him. "Strike. Team." Commander Han's voice came through their helmets. "The Krell fleet is moving closer. Our main shields are holding for now, but not for long. You have one chance to get this right." "We won't let you down, sir," Tay replied. The huge hangar doors began to open. Beyond them was the darkness of space, dotted with stars, and in the distance the colorful glow of the Crimson Nebula. "Launch now," Han ordered. 8 small ships rose from the hangar floor and shot out into space. They flew in tight formation, with Tay leading the way and Sue right behind him. The Krell fleet was on the other side of the station, so they had a few moments before they would be spotted. "Head for the nebula," Tay said, "full speed." The ships accelerated toward the colorful cloud. As they got closer, Tay could see swirls of purple, blue, and red gas. It was beautiful, but frightening. "Activate your shields now," G instructed. Tay pressed a button on his control panel. A bubble of energy formed around his ship. It glowed slightly blue. "Krell ships have spotted us," Karai reported. 3 fighters breaking off to pursue. "We're faster," Tay said. "Keep going. Don't look back." The edge of the nebula was just ahead. Strange energy sparked inside it. "Follow my path exactly," Sue said. Her voice was calm but serious. Any deviation could be fatal. Tay's hands gripped the controls tightly. "Strike team, stay in formation. Here we go." Their 8 ships plunged into the nebula. Immediately, Tay's control panel flickered. Static filled his ears. His ship shook violently. Outside his window, colorful gas swirled around him. He could barely see the ship ahead. "Stay on path." Sue's voice broke through the static. Tay followed the small dot on his screen that showed Sue's position. The nebula pulled at his ship, trying to push him off course. Sweat ran down his face inside his helmet. Behind them, the 3 Krell fighters stopped at the edge of the nebula. They would not follow. Inside the colorful cloud, the strike team pushed forward. Minutes felt like hours. Tay's ship groaned as the strange energy of the nebula pressed against G's shields. Shields, holding at 40%. G's broken voice came through. "Almost through." Sue guided them. Suddenly, the gas thinned. Tay could see stars again. His ship burst out the other side of the nebula. One by one, the other 7 ships followed. Their shields glowed hot but still worked. "We made it," Tay said, his voice filled with relief. "And look," Yun said, pointing ahead. The entire Krell fleet was spread out before them. From this side, they could see the back of every ship. And floating in the center was the massive dreadnought, the Purifier. Its engines glowed bright as it moved slowly toward Sunspire Academy. "They don't see us," Sue said. "The nebula is blocking their rear sensors." Tay smiled. "Perfect. G, can you connect us to Sunspire? We need to tell them we're in position." G worked with her ship's communication system. "Connected, but it's not very clear." Director Kim's voice came through, broken by static. "Strike team, report status." "We're through the nebula," Tay replied. "All ships intact. We're behind the Krell fleet. They don't see us." "Good." Kim's voice faded in and out. "We're ready. Here. Shields. At 45%. But holding. What's our target?" Moon asked. Tay studied the Krell fleet. "We focus on the Purifier's engines. G, what's the weakest point?" G checked the data Sue had provided. "The coolant systems for their main engines. If we hit them all at once, we can disable the ship without destroying it." "That's our plan," Tay said. "Sue, show us where to aim." Sue sent targeting information to each ship. Small red markers appeared on their screens showing the exact spots to hit. "Once we attack, we'll lose the element of surprise," Tay warned. "So we hit hard and fast. Ready?" The 7 other cadets nodded. "For Sunspire," Tay said, "attack now." The 8 small ships accelerated toward the massive Krell dreadnought. They were like tiny insects attacking a giant beast. But they had something the Krell didn't expect, the human factor of surprise and determination. As they closed in on their target, alarms began to sound on the Krell ships. The enemy had finally spotted them. Too late, Tay said with a grim smile. Fire. 8 small training ships fired their weapons at the giant Krell ship. Bright beams hit the back of the purifier exactly where Sue had shown them to aim. The huge ship's engines flickered and sparked. Direct hit, G shouted through the comm system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the massive engines of the purifier began to dim. The great ship seemed to slow down. It worked, Moon called out. Their main engines are failing. Tay watched as confusion spread through the Krell fleet. Smaller ships began to move in different directions. Some turned to face the new threat behind them. Don't celebrate yet, Tay warned. They'll adapt quickly. Break formation now. The 8 Academy ships scattered as Krell fighters turned to chase them. Tay spun his ship in a tight turn, narrowly avoiding enemy fire. Su, Hyun, Lox, target the second group of ships, Tay ordered. Ji Moon, Zim, Karai, stay with me. We need to keep them confused. The strike team split into 2 groups. Tay led his group in a series of quick attacks on different Krell ships, never staying in one place long enough to be caught. They're fast, Ji said as she narrowly avoided a blast from a Krell fighter. But we're smaller and more nimble, Tay replied. Use that advantage. Inside the purifier, Admiral Vorg stood on the bridge. The tall Krell leader's gray skin had turned dark with anger. His forearms were clenched into fists. How did they get behind us, he demanded of his officers. They flew through the Crimson Nebula, Admiral, one officer reported. Our sensors show only 8 small ships. 8? Vorg's black eyes narrowed. Training ships? They attack us with training ships? He slammed one fist on the control panel. Destroy them. All fighters engage those ships now. Back in space, Tay saw dozens of Krell fighters breaking away from the main fleet. They were now the focus of the Krell attack. They've taken the bait, he told his team. Keep moving, don't give them an easy target. Sue's voice came through, filled with worry. Tay, there are too many of them. We can't outrun them all. We don't need to, Tay answered. We just need to keep them busy long enough for Sunspire to prepare. He opened a channel to the Academy. Director Kim, status report. Kim's voice came back, clearer now that the purifier's jamming systems were damaged. Half our shields are down. The Krell have sent boarding parties. We're fighting them in sections 3 through 7. Tay's heart sank. The Krell had adapted faster than he expected. What about the plan? Can you still make it look like you're more damaged than you are? We're working on it, Kim replied. Commander Han is leading the defense, but we need more time. A blast rocked Tay's ship. Warning lights flashed on his control panel. I don't know how much more time we can give you, he said. The Krell have focused on us now. Across space, he saw one of their ships hit directly. It spun out of control, trailing smoke. I'm hit, Zim's voice called out. Control's not responding. Hang on, Zim, Karai said. I'm coming to help. Karai's ship turned toward Zim's damaged craft, but 3 Krell fighters were closing in fast. Karai, watch out, Tay shouted. Too late. A direct hit struck Karai's ship. It exploded in a ball of fire. No, Moon cried out. Tay gripped his controls tightly. Stay focused. We can't help her now. Another explosion lit up space nearby. We've lost Lox too, Sue reported, her voice shaking. Half their team was gone or disabled. The remaining ships were taking heavy damage. Tay knew they couldn't last much longer. G, can you boost our shields anymore? He asked. I'm trying, G answered, but they were never designed for this kind of fight. Inside Sunspire Academy, the situation was growing desperate. Commander Han led a group of senior cadets through a hallway filled with smoke. They carried weapons and moved carefully. Hold this position, Han ordered. We can't let them reach the central command. The sound of Krell boarding parties could be heard nearby. They were working their way deeper into the station. In the command center, Director Kim watched as more sections of the academy fell to the attackers. Main power is failing, an officer reported. Backup generators at 60% capacity. Kim's face remained calm, but worry filled her eyes. Where is Commander Han's team? Section 5. Someone answered. But they're surrounded. Kim turned to the main screen where she could see the remains of the strike team fighting against overwhelming odds. Cadet Tay, she called. The situation is critical. The Krell are inside the academy. We're losing ground fast. Outside in space, Tay heard the director's words. His ship shook as another blast hit it. Systems were failing. They had done damage to the Krell fleet, but not enough. Then a new idea came to him. Director, he said, what if we stop defending? What if we make it look like we've already lost? Explain, Kim replied. Shut down all non-essential systems, Tay said quickly. Make it look like the academy is failing. Let the Krell think they've won. That's very risky, Kim said. If they believe us defenseless, they might just destroy the station completely. No, Sue cut in. Krell honor demands they take the station intact. They want to capture humans, not just kill them. Tay nodded, even though no one could see him. Exactly. If they think they've won, they'll form up in victory formation. All their ships will gather close to the station. That's when we strike with everything we have left. There was silence for a moment. Then Kim's voice returned. Very well. We'll begin shutdown procedures. How much time do you need? 10 minutes, Tay said. We'll keep them busy for 10 more minutes. What's left of us will, G added quietly. Tay looked at his scanners. G's ship was still beside his. Moon, Sue, and Hyun were still fighting. Zim's damaged ship drifted nearby. New plan, Tay told his remaining team. We need to make the Krell think they've destroyed us all. Moon, Hyun, set your ships to autopilot and eject. Sue will pick you up. What about you and G? Sue asked. We're going to hit their communication array, Tay answered. Once it's down, they won't be able to talk to each other easily. It will add to the confusion. G's face appeared on his screen. That's suicide, Tay. The array is in the middle of their fleet. Maybe, Tay said, but it's our best chance to give Sunspire the time it needs. Inside the academy, systems began to shut down. Lights dimmed. Doors stopped working. It looked like the station was dying. Commander Han and his team retreated to the central command. They barricaded the doors and prepared for a last stand. The Krell are celebrating, an officer reported. They think they've won. Director Kim nodded. Good. Reroute all remaining power to the hidden weapon systems. Be ready on my command. In space, Tay and G flew their damaged ship straight toward the heart of the Krell fleet. Enemy fighters were no longer chasing them. The Krell believed victory was theirs. There it is, G said as they approached the purifier. The communication array is on the top section. Their ships were barely holding together. Warning lights flashed on Tay's control panel. The shields were almost gone. One shot, Tay said. That's all we need. A blast hit G's ship. It spun wildly, smoke pouring from one side. G, Tay called out. I'm hit, she replied, her voice strained. But I'm still here. Sue's voice came through, the calm. Tay, the academy is dark. It looks completely disabled. The Krell fleet is gathering around it in victory formation. Now's our chance, Tay said. G, can you still fire? One shot left, G answered. On my mark, Tay said. 3, 2, 1, fire. Both ships fired their last weapons at the communication array, direct hits. The array exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. At that moment, a massive blast hit both their ships. Tay's control panel went dark. His ship began to spin out of control. G, he called. G, are you there? No answer. As his ship tumbled through space, Tay saw the purifier, moving toward Sunspire Academy. The Krell had won, or so they thought. Tay's ship spun through space. Most systems were dead. His helmet visor was cracked. Through the window, he could see the Krell fleet surrounding Sunspire Academy. The station looked dark and lifeless. Perfect, he whispered, even though no one could hear him. He tried the comm system again. G, can you hear me? Sue, anyone? Static filled his ears. Then faintly, a voice broke through. Tay, I'm here. Gee! Relief flooded through him. Are you okay? Ship damaged. But alive. Her voice was weak. Did we do it? Tay looked at the Krell fleet. Ships were moving into position around the Academy. Their communication array was destroyed, forcing them to use older, simpler systems to coordinate. Just as planned. Yes, he said. They think they've won. They're moving into victory formation. Good, G replied. Now, wait. Inside, Sunspire Academy, all lights were off. Emergency lamps cast long shadows in the hallways. Krell boarding parties moved freely through the station, thinking the defenders had been defeated. In the central command room, Director Kim and Commander Han waited in the dim light. Only a few small screens still glowed. Krell ships are in position, an officer whispered. All gathered closely around the station. Director Kim nodded. Perfect, just as Cadet Tay predicted. She turned to Commander Han. Are the hidden weapons ready? Yes, Han answered quietly. Full power. They don't know about these defense systems. They were installed last month. And all personnel are in protected areas? Yes, Director. All cadets and staff are safe. Kim took a deep breath. Then it's time. Activate all systems. Now. Throughout the Academy, lights suddenly blazed to life. Doors sealed shut, trapping. Krell boarding parties in separate sections. Hidden panels opened in the walls, revealing powerful weapons. Outside, the station's main cannons, which had appeared damaged, suddenly turned toward the gathered Krell fleet. On the Purifier, Admiral, Vorg stared in shock as Sunspire Academy came back to life. What is happening? He demanded. They were defeated. It was a trap, Admiral. His officer replied, fear in his voice. They only pretended to be defeated. Impossible. Vorg slammed all four fists down. No military commander would use such a tactic. It goes against all. His words were cut off as Sunspire's weapons fired. The Academy's main cannon sent powerful beams straight into the Krell fleet. Ships that had gathered close to celebrate victory now had nowhere to escape. Return fire, Vorg ordered. Destroy them. But the Krell ships were in disarray. With their communication array destroyed, they couldn't coordinate. Some fired at the Academy, others tried to retreat. They got in each other's way, causing confusion. In space, Tay watched as Sunspire's attack caught the Krell completely by surprise. It was working better than he had hoped. Gee, he called through the damaged comm. Are you seeing this? Yes, she replied, her voice stronger now. Our plan, it worked. Suddenly, a new ship appeared near them. It was Sue's craft, battered, but still flying. Taiji, Sue's voice came through. I have Moon and Hyun with me. Zim is safe too. I'm coming to get you both. Sue's ship moved carefully toward them. Using a small tractor beam, she pulled their damaged ships along with hers. Back, at the Academy, the tide had turned. Krell boarding parties found themselves trapped and outnumbered as Academy defenders emerged from hiding places. Director Kim stood tall as she broadcast a message to the Krell fleet. Admiral Vorg, this is Director Kim of Sunspire Academy. Your attack has failed. Surrender now or be destroyed. On the Purifier, Vorg's face twisted with rage. Never. If we cannot win, then none shall survive. He turned to his navigator. Set course directly for the Academy's central tower. Full speed. We will destroy them with our final act. But Admiral, the navigator protested. That would destroy us as well. Better to die in glory than live in defeat, Vorg replied. Do it now. The massive Purifier turned toward Sunspire. Its remaining engines flared to life. The huge ship began to move forward, picking up speed. It was going to ram the Academy. From Sue's ship, Tay saw what was happening. They're going to crash into Sunspire. We have to stop them, G said. How? Sue asked. Our weapons are gone, we can barely fly, Tay thought quickly. The nebula energy. Gee, your shield modifications. They collected some of the nebula's energy, didn't they? G's eyes widened. Yes. The shields absorbed energy from the nebula. That's why they held together. If we release all that energy at once, Tay said, could it disrupt the purifier's course? Maybe, G replied. But we would need to get very close, and our ships would not survive the energy release. Tay looked at the academy, then at his friends. Sue, take Moon, Hyun, and Zim back to the academy. What about you and G? Sue asked. We're going to stop the purifier, Tay answered. G's face appeared on his screen. Together? Tay nodded. Together, Sue's ship released their damaged crafts. May your ancestors guide you, Sue said softly. As Sue's ship headed back to the academy, Tay and G used the last power in their engines to move toward the purifier. The massive Krell flagship was picking up speed, heading straight for Sunspire's central tower. Director Kim, Tay called on the emergency channel. This is Cadet Tay. The purifier is going to ram the academy. G and I are going to try to stop it. Cadet, Kim replied. That's too dangerous. Return to the academy immediately. No time, Tay said. Just be ready. If this works, you'll need to fire everything you have at their engines. Tay and G guided their failing ships directly into the purifier's path. The huge Krell ship loomed before them, growing larger by the second. Ready, G? Tay asked. Ready, she replied. Releasing nebula energy in 3, 2, 1, now. Both ships released all the stored energy from their shields at once. A wave of blue and purple energy washed over the purifier's front section. The huge ship shuddered. Its course shifted slightly. It's working, G shouted. But it's not enough. Director Kim, Tay called. Fire now. From the academy, all weapons fired at once. Beams of energy struck the purifier's already damaged engines. The huge ship slowed and began to turn. It's going to miss, someone in the command center shouted. Everyone watched as the purifier drifted past Sunspire Academy. The massive ship's engines died completely. It continued to move, carried by momentum, but it would not hit the academy. Inside his ship, Tay smiled. Then his control panel exploded in a shower of sparks. Everything went dark. When Tay opened his eyes, he was in the academy's medical bay. White lights shone above him. He tried to sit up. Easy, a voice said. You've been through a lot. Director Kim stood beside his bed. Behind her were Commander Han, Sue, Moon, and Hyun. G? Tay asked immediately. Where's G? Kim smiled and pointed to the next bed. G lay there, her arm in a bandage, but very much alive. She gave him a weak smile. You did it, cadets, Director Kim said. The Krell fleet has retreated. The purifier is disabled and being towed away. Sunspire Academy is safe. Not just safe, Commander Han added. Victorious. And it's all because of your human strategy, Cadet Tay. Not just my strategy, Tay said. Everyone helped. G's shield modifications, Sue's guidance through the nebula, everyone on the strike team. Yes, Kim nodded. But it was human thinking that won the day. The willingness to take risks, to try the unexpected. A new voice spoke from the doorway. A quality we will need to study more closely. They all turned to see an official-looking alien in a formal uniform. I am General Zan of the Galactic Defense Council. News of your victory has spread throughout the galaxy. For the first time, the Krell have been defeated in open battle. The general looked at Tay and G with interest. The Council has long debated the place of humans in galactic affairs. Many thought you too unpredictable, too emotional for advanced space travel and warfare. But today those very traits saved one of our most important institutions. Sue stepped forward. The humans showed us a new way of thinking, General. One that the Krell could not predict. General Zan nodded. Indeed. Which is why the Council has approved full human integration into all galactic defense forces effective immediately. Tay's eyes widened. Really? Really? Kim said with a smile. And that's not all? Look. She handed him a small tablet. On the screen was a message from Earth. Human ships were already on their way to Sunspire, bringing teachers, students, and resources. The battle for Sunspire has changed everything, Commander Han said. Humans are no longer seen as newcomers to be tolerated. You are now valued allies. Tay looked around at his friends, then out the window where repair ships worked to fix the academy. Beyond them, stars shone brightly. The human journey among those stars had just begun. Not bad, Ji said from her bed. For a couple of first-year cadets. Everyone laughed, and even the serious General Zan smiled. The battle for Sunspire was over. Humanity had proven its worth, and the galaxy would never be the same again.